Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. The main thing I wanted to talk about today is to speak to the woman who's between age 35 and 55 and really struggling, saying, could this be my hormones? What is going on here? My menstrual cycles are changing. Maybe they're heavier. Maybe they're irregular. Maybe they're more crampy. Maybe they're scant. Okay, so once again, the 11 most common signs for you to be aware of to go, this is actually perimenopause are changes in your menstrual cycle, mood swings, sleep problems, vaginal dryness, decreased libido, weight gain, fatigue, memory issues, hot flashes, night sweats, and changes in hair, skin, and nails. So what is happening underneath the hood and what can you do about it? So the first thing I want you to think of is think back to when you went through puberty. Okay, I have a 9-year-old daughter right now. She's starting to show those early signs. I'm like, whoa, where's my seatbelt? Right? We start having these big surges of our hormones. And some days we feel sad. Some days we feel angry. Some days we have lots of energy. Our menstrual cycle starts, and very rarely does a girl through puberty start her menstrual bleed and right away go into a 28-day cycle, right? It can get a little bit clunky, a little haphazard. Her body's trying to figure it out. And often what happens is then if a well-intentioned mom takes her daughter in to see the OBGYN and she's like, she started her period, but it's irregular. And what do? They put her on the pill. And let me tell you, in that scenario, there is a thing called post-birth control syndrome. We know that the progestin in most birth control, hormonal birth controls, send the adrenals into hyperdrive. And in my opinion, it is a message from outside saying, no. Your body can't figure it out on its own. Your body can't calibrate on its own. Let's give you this Band-Aid. Now, let me be loud and clear. I am a big advocate of women being able to take ownership of their contraception. And that's a different conversation. What I'm talking about here is our well-being and our hormones. So why do I bring up puberty? Perimenopause is the other bookend. So if you imagine two bookends being puberty and perimenopause, that's what we're looking at. Okay. So in perimenopause, there are surges of estrogen, and then there's a decrease in estrogen. Okay. There are changes in our PMS and our bleeding. And we start having this like, who am I? Right? What unresolved stuff is happening? What accomplishments that I have in my life? What relationships feel fulfilling? And we become more and more unapologetic. And so often this shows up as mood swings. Part of that is because estrogen and progesterone are changing. We're ovulating less often, which then changes the frequency and the nature of our menstrual bleed, right? Then we start having sleep challenges, okay? Our insulin becomes less resilient. So now our blood sugars aren't so stable. Plus we're having less progesterone and surges of estrogen, and that's all impacting our sleep, right? And then I have women say they're having that 2 to 4 a.m. wake up where their mind is buzzing and their body's exhausted. And I go, okay, now the adrenals, that place of fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, those organs that are supposed to are on our team to help us handle stress and know what to do when we're being chased or we need to freeze, right? We need to fight hard. We need to fawn. But what happens is we have all been under too much stress each and every day, not setting boundaries, not saying no. Okay, remember, stress can be real, imagined, or anticipated. So the adrenals are exhausted. Many women are in adrenal fatigue. And so now that's impacting sleep. And then down the road, it impacts their thyroid. So now women come to me and they've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, or they think that they've got something going on with their thyroid, but they've gone into their provider and the provider's like, nah, your thyroid labs look normal. And I go, what labs are they ordering, right? What range are they considering normal? Vaginal dryness. I mentioned vaginal dryness as one of those common signs of perimenopause. Once again, often this happens for women in their 40s. It can be just a strange, like it doesn't feel the same. There's strange achy sensation. I'm needing more lubrication. I'm not able to feel as zest filled as quickly. And I go, aha, our estrogen is going down. Okay, so what are ways that we can support our hormones? Foundationally, we want to look at our gut well-being. Okay, what I do with the women that I work with is we order a GI map, which is a stool test. We can look at foundationally your gut microbiome. We look at your adrenals through a 24-hour cortisol curve, and I like to include what's called the cortisol awakening response. So I can see that pattern of how does your body wake up in that first hour, and then how does it handle the stress of the day in the afternoon as you prepare for sleep and as you sleep, okay? Then we look at your hormones, okay? If your progesterone is low, that tells me you're likely not sleeping well, you're likely not ovulating, okay? So then I go, all right, what's going on with the estrogen? So I mentioned vaginal dryness. That's often going to be a byproduct of decrease in estrogen. So how can we support your estrogen? We bring in lots of phytoestrogen-rich foods, sometimes some personalized diet modifications, and supplementation that is specifically going to support healthy estrogen production. We help you feel empowered within your infradian rhythm, your 28-day cycle, to honor your body movement, your exercise, how you exist in the working world and in your relationships, and the expectations you set of yourself based on what hormones are naturally surging and waning based on where you are in any 28-day cycle. And what's brilliant is as women start really honoring that, the hormones respond. And often the vaginal dryness goes away. And if not, there's more tricks up my sleeve, and we can come up with localized over-the-counter support. And then in some scenarios, women end up adding in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And they have support from me and my team to help fine tune and tweak and figure out which ones do I do and which ones do I not do. And here's what's working and here's what's not working, right? Because here's the deal. There are so many experts out in the world, particularly since the pandemic. It's like, oh my gosh, we're all inundated with all the next gurus that know how to fix your perimenopause. And I just want to let you know, if you're not familiar with me, Maraya Brown, I've been serving women since 2000. So at this point, that's 23 years. I finished my nurse practitioner training with a specialty in OBGYN at Yale University in 2007. And so I've been supporting women with their women's health journey, from contraception to pregnancy to birth to postpartum to perimenopause, primary care, our relationship with our sexuality, our confidence, and then merging into entrepreneurship since 2007. Okay, let me stay focused. So I talked about menstrual changes. I talked about mood changes. I talked about sleep changes and vaginal dryness. The next one is decrease in libido. Okay, so I want to say one thing. Yes, sometimes the decrease in libido can be directly linked to our hormones, our adrenal hormones, our sex hormones, our thyroid hormones, as well as our dopamine, our oxytocin. All of those are relevant. And for the most part, a woman's arousal system is responsive. A lot of our libido exists in our heads, in feeling heard and seen and honored. And so the one thing to really keep in mind, if you're tuning in here, either listening to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast or tuning into my YouTube channel or my social media platforms, know that I cover a lot of this. And I also have a team of master coaches for the women that we support in any of our programs. And one of those master coaches is a sexologist who used to teach neuroscience at UCLA and USC. So just know that there are lots of ways to support libido. But one thing would be giving yourself adrenal health, okay? Adrenal health support. Stress is kryptonite to libido. In other words, cortisol is kryptonite to libido. Okay, so sometimes it's going in and supplementing with DHEA, lots of adaptogens. For those of you that follow me, I'm a big fan of everyone drinking adaptogen elixirs where you have adaptogenic support. You have quality fat, quality protein, and it tastes yummy. It's a luxurious experience, right? Plus, we get to dig into what is our turn on, right? Are you focusing on not just your wealth, but also your love and your health? Are you allowing yourself to do what lights you up during the day and in your relationships? And all of that ties back to libido. And then from a hormonal standpoint, that decrease in estrogen can definitely be impacting things. The adrenals getting tired, which then responds with the thyroid getting tired and testosterone levels dropping. And so all of that, my preference is that we look at it quantifiably. Okay. The test right now that I order most often is called the Dutch Plus. It's through dried urine. I can look at your sex hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, and your testosterone. And also, what is your body doing with them? How does your body get them out of the body? And then also, what are your organic acids? So such as what's your dopamine look like, your melatonin, your B vitamins, and all of that we can tie back to your libido as well as your gut health and that 24-hour cortisol curve. Can you see how it's all connected? I mentioned weight gain. Okay. Often women start experiencing some weight gain, particularly pronounced after age 45 or once she starts going into that second phase of perimenopause. The body is finding new ways to store estrogen as estrogen production goes down. Okay. The adrenals are getting that knock, knock, knock on the door as the ovaries are slowing down. And so often that can show up in more abdominal weight. And all of that pressure is then putting more pressure on the thyroid, and the thyroid tends to become a little bit more sluggish. I also mentioned that my preference is that we are not only supporting your overall well-being and hormonal balance through nutrition supplementation and sometimes prescriptions, the right labs and looking at them through the right lens, but also how are we honoring our 28-day moon cycle? All right. And that means we exercise differently when we're in the new moon versus the full moon, when we're in our bleeding time versus our ovulatory time. Okay. And if you're not bleeding or you're bleeding irregularly, we're tracking your moon cycle and knowing that when you're in your ovulatory time, high weight with slow movements is going to be more potent, right? When you're in what's called your luteal phase or your PMS phase, we don't want to push your body really hard, okay? Progesterone will hide in that context. And if you don't have progesterone, you're not sleeping well and your mood is all over the place. So we're also addressing the weight with how are you being, how are you moving, and what kind of exercise are you doing, adjusting it based on where you are in your menstrual cycle. I mentioned fatigue as one of the top 11 most common signs of perimenopause. And this is one of the leading complaints that women come to me with. I'm so tired. I wake up feeling like I haven't slept. I'm having an afternoon slump. I'm having to live off of caffeine. Nothing I'm doing is making a difference. I just feel so tired. And so I go, all right, from a hormonal standpoint, once again, we're looking at your gut and your adrenals and your thyroid and your hormone production. How is your liver doing? But also, do you feel inspired by the life that you're living, the nature of relationships that you're engaging in? Okay, it's all relevant. Anything that goes in and out of our eyes, our mouth, and our heart is impacting our energy. And let me tell you, food is your medicine. Medicine is your food. So often I'll work with clients and they've done all the work with mindset and they've done all the work with body movement and increasing exercise, but they've forgotten to really fine tune personalized nutrition, not diets, not weighing things, not calorie counting, but finding a personalized eating plan that can become a lifestyle that works for you based on quantifiable lab results, based on your lifestyle, how much you travel, how busy you are, how much time you have for food prep, what kind of budget you're working with. It's all important. And I promise you, it will all move the needle with your fatigue. I mentioned thyroid, and often a woman will say, well, I was feeling sluggish. I was putting on weight, not sleeping well, feeling kind of sad, not feeling like myself. I thought it was my thyroid. I went into my provider and they were told, oh, it's just part of aging. Your thyroid looks normal, or here's a prescription, here's an antidepressant. And you're like, no, fist pounding on the table. I want you to look at the most recent blood work that you've had done. Did they order a TSH, a free T4, a free T3, and your thyroid antibodies, plus a 25 hydroxy vitamin D? If not all of those have been ordered, I want you to find a new provider. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Okay. And often they'll order what's called a TSH with a reflex T4. They've ordered your TSH. And often labs will say, normal is like 0.4 to 4.2, something like that. I say normal is between 1 and 2. So now your thyroid stimulating hormone, which is actually the hormone coming from the pituitary, trying to give the knock, knock, knock on the door to wake up your thyroid because it might actually be sluggish, but nobody's catching it because they're ordering the wrong tests and they're looking through the wrong lens and they're saying, it's just part of aging. And that's sick care. That's not well care. And so if you are someone where you feel like you've gone to your providers and you feel like they're not taking you seriously, they're just giving you another prescription. They're saying, that's just common. I say, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. I want you to continue to advocate for yourself. Continue to ask different questions to different experts. And you are welcome to ask me. Okay, just reach out to me and say, here's what's going on. Here are my symptoms. Here, send me your labs. Here's the labs I've had done recently. What do you think? Because that fatigue does not have to be your reality. I promise you we can move the needle when we make adjustments that are comprehensive and then we take into consideration things like past trauma and our mindset and our relationship with our sensuality and our food and our supplementation and all of it. And when I say past trauma, I want to make sure that you hear this. Trauma is not what happened to you. It's how you received it. Okay. Something could have happened to you when you were 5, 8, 15, 25, and the same thing happened to your friend at the same age. And the two of you received it very differently. Okay. So don't compare yourself. A traumatic event can be a traumatic event, and it is stored in our cells. It is stored in our bodies, and our hypothalamus, that place where the old trauma is stored, deserves to be considered in this full scope approach. Okay. 11 most common signs of perimenopause. We're moving on to, we're almost done, just a couple more to go. Memory issues. Oh my goodness. How many people come to me complaining of brain fog? Word placement, just feeling like they're in a bit of a haze. Yes, that relates to the reduction in estrogen as we journey through perimenopause and into menopause, but it does not have to be your reality. Okay. Yes, it's related to testosterone. Yes, it's related to gut health. Okay. Leaky gut is a real thing. Once again, what you're putting in your mouth makes a difference. Okay. So sometimes you're needing some good quality methylated Bs. Sometimes some extra lion's mane or cordyceps can make a big difference from an adaptogenic standpoint. Remember when I said adaptogen elixirs? Adaptogens help the body better adapt to stress. So when I work with women and they're seeing me and they're seeing the team nutritionist, we're going to massage it and come up with personalized adaptogens that are going to support you based on the symptoms that are really calling to you and the most troublesome, matched with what are your labs showing. Okay. So memory issues, they can be common, but it does not mean it's normal. It does not mean it has to be a reality. Hot flashes. Hot flashes depend on if they're neck up versus full body, night sweats versus during the day. Okay. But once again, I'm thinking blood sugar management and I'm thinking hormonal support. Depending on what you've tried, sometimes quality omegas, primrose oil, phytoestrogen-rich diet can move the needle, black cohosh. And in some scenarios, once those have been tried and exhausted, bringing in some bioidentical hormones can be helpful, okay? That doesn't mean just going straight on HRT, okay? It doesn't mean you have to just accept it as being normal, or common when you're in the car and the windows are up and it's winter outside and you have a hot flash and now all of a sudden the windows are fogged up. That does not have to be your reality. You don't have to change clothes every night in the middle of the night or go somewhere with a change of clothes. Okay. Lots and lots of women over decades supporting them across multiple continents. And I've helped them get rid of those nasty hot flashes. And the last thing is changes in hair and skin. Okay. Our elasticity of skin is impacted as estrogen goes down. Okay. If our adrenals are tired, if our thyroid is tired, the hair goes, it's okay. I'll take one for the team, right? Send energy to the internal organs within your body. Okay. And so often women will start experiencing hair thinning, hair loss, sometimes increased hairs along the jawline, nipples, and abdomen. In that scenario, I'm thinking a shift in how the body is getting rid of testosterone. Okay. So the main thing I wanted you to hear is if you're between the ages of 35 and 55, I want you to know that perimenopause is a thing. Okay. Average age of menopause is 51 and a half. How do you know you're in menopause? Once you've gone 12 months without a menstrual bleed. But the lead up to menopause can be a lengthy, drawn out, for some women, 20-year journey. And so I just wanted you to hear from me those common signs. And it does not mean you just have to go belly up and accept it or just go on some antidepressant or anti-anxiety pill or sleep pill or hormone replacement therapy. That's not at all what I'm saying. All of these symptoms, all of this can be addressed when we look foundationally at your gut health, your adrenal health, your thyroid health, and your hormonal health through the lens of nutrition, supplementation, lifestyle change, mindset, our relationship with our sexuality, addressing old trauma. It's all relevant and important. We are dynamic, ever-changing beings, different each day, each week, each month, each decade. And you, my friend, are a unique puzzle. So even if you're feeling distraught or disappointed in the sick care you've been given by those doctors that we've been conditioned to think have all the answers, I want you to know that there are answers out there. Okay. Just because you haven't received the answer yet does not mean you give up. Okay. Often what ends up happening is women start turning to their friends and saying, what have you tried? And yes, we need our community. We need our girlfriends, but you also deserve to have experts that are credentialed and have a track record. And this is their specialty, such as me and my team, to be able to give you the personalized hand-holding so that you can have a graceful, empowered, spectacular, vibrant experience of perimenopause and into menopause and live out the next decades of your life feeling spectacular and juicy and confident and creative with brain clarity and great sleep and stable mood and being able to acknowledge, oh, there's that inner critic. She's so spectacular. Here I am being unapologetically me, fierce and standing for what I want and setting boundaries. And that, my friend, is a spectacular chapter of this life. And for women in this chapter of perimenopause, it's kind of like we go into the chrysalis, from the caterpillar to the chrysalis, and we turn to goo. And at times it's uncomfortable and we don't recognize ourselves in the mirror. But I promise you, when you take these foundational steps and receive the hand-holding and the community, not just Band-Aids, not just prescriptions, not crap food, crap care, crap tests, but actually foundationally honoring you are worthy of feeling spectacular. On the other end, that butterfly emerges from the chrysalis as this beautiful, spectacular crone in the world who is fierce as a postmenopausal woman. And the women in my space are showing up as the founders and the CEOs and the entrepreneurs and the game changers. They're out there with the machetes, trailblazing, leading the way, because they want to create a legacy. They want to create impact, but they want to do it with true fulfillment. And true fulfillment means they prioritize not just their wealth, but their wealth, their love, and their health. Because what I can tell you is if someone has love and wealth, but doesn't have their health, that's not fulfillment. If someone has health and love, but they don't have the money to go do the things that they want to do and leave the legacy, that's not fulfillment. And if they have health and they have wealth, but they don't have love, that's also not fulfillment. Okay, so we have the esteemed privilege, particularly during this chapter of perimenopause, to dig in, embrace it, feel empowered, prioritize ourselves, know that we are complex beings and we get to prioritize our money, our health, and our love. Take that hat off. Stop trying to be the expert in all ways and bring in others that are credentialed with a track record like me and my team, and we can support you. So what I'll say, that's enough for now. You can tell I woke up really passionate about this topic. It feels important to me. Okay. So in the description, in the show notes, whether you're on YouTube or in the podcast or wherever you're watching this from, I'll make sure to put the link down below. You are welcome to apply to have a personalized roadmap creating call with me. Okay. What that looks like is you fill out the application, me and the team review it. You and I can pop on a call and we simply co-create a plan. Okay. Those plans can be a mixture of group calls, one-on-one time, lab testing, membership, retreats, VIP days. They range anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 a month, and they can range from anywhere from 3 months to a year. Okay. There are lots of options. But what's most important is it starts with an application. We co-create a plan. And I need to make sure that I know without a shadow of a doubt that me and my team can support you in achieving your goals, whatever they might be, that you can have a spectacular experience of perimenopause, and we're here to support you. So with that being said, I would love to see some applications. Thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions, what really calls to you. And with that, Maraya Brown here, signing off. Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, founder of the Women's Vibrancy Code program and podcast. And I'm out here trailblazing for women to be legacy builders without burnout and having a spectacular, juicy, vibrant experience of perimenopause. Hopefully this helps. Ta-ta for now.